Action.
Right, this story is a London city centre story. Once upon a time there was a fight that broke out in London city centre. Suddenly it all started to get very heated for all the wrong reasons. The people that were fighting were from the Slovakian area. Don't know Slovakia very much, I don't know the area in Slovakia, but I'll just say Slovakian area. The next day these Slovakian people who were on the run, they were boarding a plane to Barcelona. Suddenly the manhunt for these people would begin. Suddenly the gang would have weapons on them. Late that afternoon they would barge past the customs at London Heathrow Airport. Suddenly, as they were about to get on the plane, the police arrested them and handcuffed them and then put them in the police cars. Suddenly the gang, they would go to prison and be put behind bars. They would spend life in prison for their involvement in the fighting. The next day there was a young couple. They would get caught up in the traffic. However, there were a gang of youths who were trying to take the handbag off the person. However, they bravely managed to fight off the gang of youths. Late that evening, the couple went to a really lovely restaurant in the London city centre. They went to Bella Italia, when suddenly they ate some food before later on they would go out clubbing. However, when they went out clubbing, they showed their IDs to the bouncers, and when they went inside, there were some people behind them following them. Who could this be? Why could they be following them? Suddenly it started to turn ugly for all the wrong reasons. The gang would start on the lovely girl for no reason yet. She was minding her own business. Suddenly the police had to be called into the scene. Suddenly things were really starting to get really heated. She was in real pain. Late that evening she was rushed to the hospital and the police handcuffed the gang. It would be remarkable if she recovered from these injuries. The couple, who were named as Del Phillips and Zoe Wright, who were from the Brixton area, were on a night out in Brixton. And suddenly a gang of youths who would make their experience a terrifying one. The next day these gang of youths would appear in court. Judge Drew Wilkinson wanted to hear both sides of the story. Suddenly it all started to get very tense. Really tense, in court. Drew Wright was having none of it. He wanted the gang to speak the truth. Late that afternoon, the judge made his decision. He gave them a life sentence for their involvement with the young people. The next day, the gang were put in the police cars and were taken to prison. However, there was a dramatic twist. The gang tried to escape the police cars. However, there was no chance they would escape out of the police cars. The next day, Del Phillips went to the hospital to check on Zoe Wright, and she seemed to be recovering well from the injuries she had. The next day, she was able to come out of hospital. Late that afternoon, she was able to go back home and enjoy her everyday life. Late that evening, the couple decided to go to the cinema and go and watch Q-Belt and the Two Strings. However, there was a twist. Zoe Wright was pregnant, and so she wasn't able to go to the cinema. However, she was due to give birth. The next day, she went to the hospital, and in a split second, the baby came out safely. And well, it was not yet clear what they were going to call the baby, but one thing for sure is that it was a baby girl. When she had to be rushed to the hospital, it was very uncertain that she was going to have the baby, that she was in some pain. But thankfully she was not in as much pain as first feared. Late that afternoon, she called their baby Jesse. Del Phillips arrived to the hospital and went to meet the baby Del Phillips, who also decided on the name for the first name. Saw the baby, and together with the baby they went home. When they arrived back at the house, the baby had to sleep while the couple would watch television. Late that evening, the couple, they ordered a pizza from Domino's. However, what they weren't to know is how long the delivery would take to come to the house. Dale Phillips wasn't sure what to do. He was really concerned how long the delivery would be. Suddenly there was a knock on the door, and it was the delivery person from Domino's. They gave them their delivery, and Dale Phillips paid the money to the delivery person. The next day, the couple and baby Jessie went swimming. When they arrived at the leisure centre, they went inside and then got changed to go swimming. When suddenly they had a shower, and the shower was really cold. Dale Phillips went in the swimming pool, and they all went swimming. Later that afternoon, they went back home and decided they would watch some games, and they were playing with their new baby who was settling in to the family. Later that evening, they had their evening meal together. They had pasta and cheese grated on top. The next day they would all go out shopping, and they bought some really lovely clothes. Late that afternoon they went to the park. They went to the park and played some ball games. So the next day they would get an ice cream and they would plan their honeymoon. The next day it was the day of the wedding, and Dale Phillips and Zoe Wright were getting married. This was their big day. Late afternoon, Zoe Wright changed her name. She would now be Zoe Phillips. The next day, Dale Phillips and Zoe Phillips, they would go on their honeymoon to Sydney in Australia. Dale Phillips' mum would look after their baby while Dale Phillips and Zoe Phillips would go on the honeymoon. They would spend a week in Sydney before they would come back to England. The next day, Dale Phillips and Zoe Phillips and the baby, they would go to Eureka for the day in West Yorkshire. They would go in the car and they would drive from Brixton to Eureka in West Yorkshire. The following day, the baby would get older slowly. This baby was making really excellent progress. She was learning to walk, and also she was learning to speak. Later that evening, the baby was learning how to crawl, and also the baby was learning how to wash the pots in the kitchen. The next day, the couple went, what? The next day, the couple and the baby went to a soft play in London, and the baby would get really excited, and the baby would join in with other people, and they would learn how to share the end. Sam Jenkinson, we're done. Yeah, just turn it up. Stop.